Now it's time to start setting up our site parameters. Okay, the first thing we're going to want to do is go down to Settings and General. In here we can set up anything that we have in here that's not right. So this is the stuff we did during the initial setup in Fantastico. So if you want to change your blog title, your tagline, you can do it here. You can change your email address here. We're going to set this to anyone can register once we're ready to start taking members. Until then, we need to leave it off. We can set our time code here. So set that to your current time code. Set how you want your date and time to show, and then when the week starts here. Okay, save your changes. Okay, discussion. This is where you can tell it whether you want to be able to have people actually leave comments on your site. And we're not going to want to do that in our membership site. So uncheck everything here. And then leave this first one checked. Common author must fill out name and email. And also, you want to, user must be registered and log in to comment. Now, although we've turned it off here, we're just putting in some redundant protection here. Make sure no one can post a comment. Uncheck anyone can post a comment, and make sure a comment is held for moderation is checked. An administrator must always approve the comment, should be checked, and comment author must have a previous approved comment, should be checked. Again, this is just redundant protection. Okay, down here you have your avatars. You can set that the way you want. We're not going to worry about that. I'm going to save the changes. Okay, next on privacy. Remember, we set this on the manual install, but you can do that here as well. So if you messed up there, you can set it here. So whether you want your blog to be visited by everyone, including search engines, or whether you want search engines not to find your blog, you can set that here. Okay, permalinks is something we're going to turn on. Now to do this, what we need to do is go with a custom structure. Now, to make this easy, what you can do is set the directory that your blog is in to permission 777. Remember, we did that during the manual install. When we're done, we need to set it back. When we do that, it'll allow the htaccess file to be created or modified without us having to do anything. You can do that with the FTP program, or you can do it in your cPanel. I've already showed you how to do it with the FTP program, so let me show you how you can do it from the cPanel. Go to your cPanel and then go to File Manager. It'll be under Files if you're organized like this. And then make sure you have Show Hidden Files checked. Let's go in here. And what we want to do is go to the root directory that is before the public HTML directory. All the files in this server are stored in public HTML if you want them to be able to be seen by the public. Otherwise, nobody can see what is on your website. Your website is invisible. Your web host may use a different folder, and they'll tell you where you need to upload your files so they're visible on the internet. Okay, so what I need to do here is change permissions, so I can just go change permissions. You'll see at 755, we check all the boxes at 777. Okay, so this is ready to go. Now all we have to do is put our custom structure in here. So there it is. It's /%category% /%postname%. Okay, save the changes. Okay. Okay, it's telling us our htaccess file isn't writable. So we can do the same thing here. Let's go back here. Let's go into the public HTML directory. Now, since I already had an htaccess file, that's why it's having a problem there. If we didn't have one, it would have written the htaccess file. So we need to do the same thing here. The permission just needs to be 666 instead of 644. Okay, so 666. Now let's update this again. Okay, now it has changed those. So let's go back and let's change this back to 644. Okay, so just uncheck those and it says 644. Now we also need to go back and change Puck HTML back to 755. Like that. Okay, so that's all set for us. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to go and delete the posts that are here. So go to posts and then just trash the one that's there. And then go to pages, trash the one that's here. Okay, now what we need to do is add a new page. This is going to be our home page. Now, if you're using a private members area in a folder, then you could make this your intro page rather than your home page or your sales page. This is going to be my sales page on this domain. So I can put in my sales content on here. This is just like a visual editor. As you probably know from using WordPress, you can put your whole sales page right in here. Now, right here we have something called the kitchen sink. If you click on that, you get some more options that you can use while creating your sales page. And that's if you want to create it on here. The other thing you could do is download a piece of software called Composer, which is free. Just do a search for Composer. Kompozer, like you see here. It's a free web editor. And then you can put your sales page in here. And then all you have to do is take the source and plunk it in to the WordPress editor there. Okay, so either way you want to do it, that's fine. Okay, so just an example. Then what we can do, we can just copy this. And we can just paste it in here. Okay, we'll actually have to recenter these. Okay, and then what we can do is just publish the page here. Okay, now that we have a home page that we can use, we need to set our home page so that it loads up immediately. Now, if we were to look at this right now, okay, this is what we get. What we want to do is set our home page to come up automatically. So if we go into reading, then we want a static page, and then from page and welcome, or welcome page, or whatever it is we had there. Okay. Save the changes. Now when we go to visit our site, okay, so there is our home page. So that's all you need to do. Make your sales page, set it to be the initial page on your site. And let's go back to admin. Okay, so all the parameters are set up for the WordPress blog. Now what we need to do is set up our membership site, and we're going to do that in the next video. Just a couple more things that you might find useful. When people log in, it's easier if you send them to the members page right away. And that's especially good when somebody's registering. Once they register and they get an email, it'll tell them to log in. And when they log in, they'll go to the members page and be prompted to pay. So this streamlines the process quite a bit. So to do this, you need to install a plugin. Let's go to plugins. And then we'll do add new. And then in the search box here, we'll type in login redirect. It's Peter's login redirect. Insert your plugin. This is one we want to use, so let's install that. Activate. Okay, and then we want to redirect to the members page here. Their pages. So copy the link location. Then we will go to login redirect. So we'll put it under subscriber and then paste. Okay, so all subscribers will go there. Okay, so here's our members area, and he hasn't paid yet, so he'll have to subscribe and go through the process. So that streamlines the membership process. One more thing I want to show you. Let's log back in as admin here. You can add a logo to your admin area or to your login box rather than have the WordPress one. If we go back here, you'll see that we have this WordPress logo here. So you can customize that with your own graphic if you like. Of course, this is an optional step. Okay, so again, we'll go to plugins, do an add new, and then login logo. And the simplest one to use just is add a logo to admin. So we'll install that. Okay, so you notice that it has in the admin area this logo that's the default logo. And if we log out, it has the logo here as well. So what you want to do now is just change that to your own. Okay, so we'll go down to the settings, add logo to admin, and then you can tell it if you want your logo to appear in the login page or in the admin area. So you can set that as you like. So if you only wanted it on the login page, for instance, you do that. And then what you do is you just browse on your computer and find a logo that you want to use. I'll just use this picture for now. Okay, and then what we do is we click Save Changes to upload it. Okay, we have an error here, a permission error. This hasn't happened to me before, but something's wrong. So what we need to do is go in with our FTP program or on our cPanel and fix this. Okay, so we'll go to the server side. We go to Content, Plugins. Let's go inside, Add Logo to Admin. And then let's change the right permissions of images. So change this to 777. Okay, now let's hit the back button here. Save our changes. Okay, now it's working. Okay, then we just select this. Save the changes. Okay, let's log out. Okay, and there is our new logo on there. That ought to scare somebody. Let's log back in again. And we can make it appear in the admin side as well. Okay, then it appears here. And if they click on the image, they go to the site, just like when there was a WordPress image there. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to make those two additions available to you because I found them useful myself. Okay, let's go over our final steps here. Next thing you want to do is change our site appearance. Now we're not likely going to want to use this particular theme, although you can if you want. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go Add New. Then I'm going to find one that's appropriate for my site. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can choose down here. I'm just going to try and find one that sort of fits with what I'm doing. So you can key in different keywords and see if you can find something that fits. I'm just going to type in site and see what it brings up here. Okay, so let's say I decide I want to use this one. I'll click Install and then Install Now. Okay, we proceed here. Okay, we activate it. Okay, now if we have a look at our site, okay, it's taken on a new look. Okay, now what we need to do is go into Widgets. And what we want to do is over on sidebar 1, we want to put custom meta. And then we can say what we want here. So register and cite them in and log in and log out. Now we can get rid of all this other stuff. Okay, so that takes all of the navigation of our site. We won't have any categories or pages or anything else showing over there. Okay, so now if we go back and visit our site, okay, so we have some hard-coded things in this site that we don't want, so we're going to have to change the theme. Okay, so be careful of that. Just have a look and make sure things are working properly. So let's go back. Let's go back to themes and let's add another one. We'll have to go through the same episode again here. So we'll go to add new, and then we'll do another search again. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, this one actually did work out okay. The only thing here is subscribe. This is our RSS subscription, and we've turned that off in the where we hide it on the posts and pages. So okay, so this site is actually working okay. Okay, so that does it for our theme. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll set up the protection and payment for our site. So we go down to our PayPal here, and then what we want to do is go down to how to use. Now in here it shows you how you can set things up to protect them. So to hide content and show a PayPal button, this is the tag you use here. To add the purchase post list into a page or post, you use this tag. Okay, and we also have to set up instant payment notification with PayPal. Okay, we're going to do that last here. So first, let's go protect our content. So let's go over to posts. Okay, and we want to protect this content from people who haven't paid. So we'll go into edit. We'll make sure you're in HTML. And then for the stuff you want to protect, just on top of that, you'll see here ARE PayPal hide content. Just click on that, and everything underneath that is now protected. We'll save. We'll do the same thing with the other post. Okay, so that'll keep people from being able to get at it unless they have paid. Okay, and then we're going to want to put a payment button on the front of our site. So we do the same thing there. We'll go to pages. Actually, I'm going to stop this here. We need to close the tag. Okay, you need to have an opening and a closing here. So I forgot to put that in, so we'll put another opening and a closing one here and get rid of the first opening one. Now I wouldn't have had to do that if I had done the tags at the same time. Opening, put my content, and then closing like that. So do that to anything you want to protect. You need an opening and a closing tag. Okay, let's update. Now let's go to pages, and then we'll go to our welcome page. Now the procedure for paying for the site, what they have to do is register, and then it sends them an email like PayPal Normal does. Then they sign in, and then they can push the payment button. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put the button down at the bottom here. And then what we could do underneath here is put some private stuff, and we could say go to the members area here or something like that. So go to members area, and we could put a link there to a page. So let's create a members area page, and then with this members area page you could put anything you want on here. You can put your bonuses or any messages you want. Members are your welcome page. Okay, so then we can say any content you want. Okay, so we'll hide this content as well. Okay, and then of course we need to hide this page and publish. Oh, make sure you close the tag too. So after the content you want to protect, you'll see that it now has a slash hide content. So that's how you hide the content in between. Okay, let's update that. Now let's add this to our home page. So back to edit. Let's get the location of this page. Copy link location. Let's add it to our main page. Okay, so go over to HTML view. And then what we want to do is hide the content under here. So we'll and then we'll put a link to our page. Or you could call this bonuses or what have you. Okay, and then close this tag. And there it is. Okay, so that content's protected. Now let's log out. Let's go to our site. Okay, so here's our sales copy. And you notice that our membership protected content is not here. Okay, it says you must log in to download for your products. That's the message that we put in our PayPal messages, and here's the login. Okay, so that is protecting our content now. Once someone has paid, they'd be able to see this content. Now let's go through the process here. Actually, let's go back in as admin and open up the membership. Okay, to do that, remember before I said that we had to anyone can register. We have to set that before anybody can register. Okay, so we have our PayPal all set up now, and what we could do is do a test transaction from a real PayPal account, or we could set up the PayPal sandbox. Actually, the one thing, we need to set up the IPN. So let's go to how to use. Then what we want to do is grab this URL here and sign into PayPal and add that to instant payment notification. Okay, so this is the PayPal sandbox I'm using, but it emulates the real PayPal site. So what we do is we go into Profile, then we go into Instant Payment Notification. Okay, then we need to edit our IPN settings if you haven't already got it on. Okay, now we paste our notification URL in here, and you want to receive IPN messages. Save. Okay, now everything is set up to go with PayPal. So let's log out and do a test transaction. Okay, you'll see now that we can register. So let's go to the site. Okay. So we would tell them in our sales page that they need to register. So we'll give a new username here. Okay, so test one and a email address, register. And it's the same as registering for any WordPress blog. It sends us an email, so we have to go to email now and click on and get the password to log in. Okay, then we log in. And since we had hide dashboard on, all we see now is our profile. Okay, now when we visit the site, we have a subscribe button and we can now pay for the content. Okay, so it shows us this is the description. Next site, monthly subscription expires in 30 days, so we'll subscribe. and then we put in our email in here. We go through the transaction, make sure everything works properly. Now it should take us to the, and it did, it took us to the form. So we fill this out and register, and then it'll take us to the front page here. Okay, now you'll see that it has unlocked our content, and when we click on that we go to the members area. Now if we go to our message, okay, so here's the message we got down here, and so this is what they're going to get, and it tells them to copy and paste this in here. So when we paste this in, this is the protected page, and we need to enter the password that's in the email, which was month 1. And submit. And here are our download messages here, and everything is working as it should. Okay, now let's log out and log back in as admin. Now let's go to PayPal here. Let's go to PayPal data. Okay, and here's what the IPN did. There's a subscriber sign up, and this is subscriber payment. Shows you the login ID, how much they paid, and if you click on that, it shows you more information on the transaction. And so it gives you all the PayPal information. Okay. Alright, so our membership site is now done. Now just a couple things to remember. Make sure that you're clear about the registration process on your sales page, or on your page somewhere, so they know they have to register, then they will receive a password, then they need to log back in to be able to purchase. Okay, one more thing I didn't mention. In the autoresponder messages, they are in HTML format. So all these spaces we have here, we need to put proper HTML in here. Like so. So we need to put proper HTML in here like so. Otherwise it all runs together like you saw in the message in my Yahoo email there. Okay, so make sure you do that on all your messages. Okay, so you now know how to set up a free drip-fed membership site using WordPress and free plugins. In this video series, we're going to go over how you can set up a drip-fed membership site. Now you might be wondering what a drip-fed membership site is. What it is a way that you can set a membership site up so that it really runs all by itself. What happens is people sign up for it and pay you, then they get access to the site and content is delivered to them over time automatically. So you don't have to intervene with anything. All you have to do is get your content or some of your content ready, and then you can have it delivered to them over a specific period of time without you having to do anything further. Okay, so that is what we're going to go over here. Now the only cost to this whole site is going to be your domain name and your hosting. A domain name is simply your web address, so like Google is google.com. So you need to pick a domain name for your site. And to do that, all you have to do is go to a registrar like GoDaddy.com or Namecheap.com and then type in here some names and do a search. Okay, so say we want to do something on niche site. Let me look at nichesite.com, and it says that it's already taken. It gives us some alternatives here with different extensions, and also over here it gives us some other choices as well. Okay, so you can just go through this process and then register a domain. You'll need a free account, and then you go through the registration process. Now the other half of this is a hosting account. You need a hosting account to have web space to upload your files, and then you tie the two together by setting your name servers. So for instance, here's a hosting provider, and you get hosting from as little as $4.95 a month, unlimited disk space and bandwidth. You can also, for $7.95 a month, you can get a better package here. So you can buy one of these packages to get started. So that's really all your cost is, about $10 for a domain name and about $5 to $8 a month for hosting. Okay, then the next step is you have to tie the two together by setting name servers. Now you'll get an email from your hosting account telling you what to set your name servers to. Now to do that, you just go to your domain name, and then this will be on GoDaddy or wherever you register your domain. Go to where it says name servers, and then you set your custom name servers down here. Click OK, and that ties your domain to your hosting account, and then you're all set to go for the install. Now I suggest cPanel hosting with Fantastico to make this really easy to set up, and you get this with this domain hosting provider. I've put a link at the bottom of the video that you can go to get to this site. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is install our software. Now this WordPress membership is going to be powered by what are called plugins. Plugins allow you to add functionality to the base WordPress install. Okay, so there's several that we're going to install. Let's just go to plugins, and then you'll see something here called add new. This allows you to search within the WordPress codex and actually install the plugin right from here without any messing around. Makes installing plugins a lot easier. Now before we do that, we're going to need our FTP information. Now we can use our main FTP account that we just set up when we did our hosting account here if we want. If you don't want to do that, you can set up a secondary account. It's up to you. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to search for our first plugin. Now, the first one we're going to install is called WP Hide Dashboard. What that does is it hides the dashboard contents from anybody that signs in as a subscriber. Normally they can see a lot of stuff on the dashboard. You don't want them to be able to see anything except for to be able to update their own profile. So WP Hide Dashboard. Okay, here it is here. So all we have to do now is click install, and then just click install now. Now this is where we have to put in our FTP information. Okay, so our host name is our domain name, and then the same username and password that were given to you by your hosting provider, unless you set another FTP account up. Now if you want to set up a separate FTP account for your WordPress blog so they can't get into your whole hosting account, this is where you can do it here. This is where it says FTP accounts. And then you can just give a different username and password here. So we'll say WP blog, and it's going to be at your domain name, and then put your password here, and then repeat it, and then the directory that they're allowed to access. Okay, so in this case we're going to have to let it access public_HTML, which is where our files are sitting on our hosting account. Okay, and then quota, you can give them a quota or unlimited. We can create the account now. And it's all created for us. Okay, so now we can go and we can set up our information on our plugin install here. So we can just get that, actually we can just copy it from here. let's just copy that. Paste that in here. Well, that's our username. Okay, so that's our domain name or host name, username, password here that we can also copy from the other side and leave that as FTP. Click proceed and then activate plugin. It comes back here and it shows us that it is installed and activated. Okay, so we go through this procedure for the rest of them. So let's go to add new again. Now the next one we're going to install is called RPayPal. It's the one that actually powers the member side of our script, takes the payments, and it locks people out when they don't pay and so on. It sets their status to active when they do pay. So we just search on that. Install this. Comes back to here. Oh, we need to put our password back in again. Just click remember here and it'll remember it for us. Okay, so it's installed, so we can just activate it here. Okay, and then the same thing with the next one. We do add new. Now we need to install something called BFT Lite. It's an autoresponder that works inside WordPress, so you don't have to buy an autoresponder like Aweber or any of those. You can use the one that we're going to install here. Okay, so BFT Lite, we'll put that in here. Okay, let's try a different. There it is, BFT autoresponder. Let's install. And activate. Okay, if you get an error like that, just try it again. That sometimes happens. And make sure you activate both of them. One of them is actually the autoresponder. The other one is a piece of code that runs to determine if it should send out any messages on that day. That's triggered by your website being loaded one time during the day. Next, we're going to add one called Custom Meta. What this allows us to do is to customize the sign-in side of our site. If we go to our site now and look at Meta, it shows cited min, logout, ValidX, HTML, XFN, and WordPress. With Custom Meta, we can get rid of all this stuff out of our widgets. Okay, so let's go back here. Custom Meta, we'll type in here. Search. Okay, install. Now we need two different plugins to hide posts. We do that because we don't want posts to be able to be seen by the public. Okay, so we have one called hide post and one called WP hide post. They do different things. That's why we need two. Okay, so we'll go here. We'll put hide post. Okay, here it is. Hide post. This is one of them. This one protects content on a specific post. Okay, and then the next one is WP hide post. So it's WP hide post. Okay, so this one. Okay, and they do different things. We're going to get to the setup in the next video. For now, we're just going to install everything, and then we can just go along and start setting things up since everything will be ready for us to go. Okay, so that one's installed. Okay, let's go to the options page and we'll just enable it. Okay, let's go back to plugins. The last one we need to install is called the WP No Follow No Index tool. What this does is it keeps things from the search engines. Okay, so we'll add new. And just type in no index. This is what we need here, Ultimate No Index No Follow tool. So install that. Activate. Okay, these are all the plugins we need installed so that our site will act like a membership site. That concludes this video. In the next video, we're going to go set things up with the plugins. Now, if you took my advice and got cPanel hosting, it makes this next step very easily. Now, as you probably gathered by the heading, we are going to use WordPress to run our site. We're doing this for several reasons. One, it's free. Two, it has lots of functionality already built in for us, and it has plugins available that will help us establish our site for absolutely no cost. Okay, now the easiest way to install WordPress is to just roll down and use Fantastico Deluxe. So just roll into your cPanel and click on that, and you'll have Fantastico Deluxe. Come up here in a sec. Here it is. And what Fantastico Deluxe allows you to do is to easily set up a website using any of these scripts in here. So we're going to use WordPress. So just click on WordPress. And then we'll click New Installation. And then all we have to do is fill out our form. Now, we can install in an empty directory, which means it'll install it in our root. So in this case, I have a domain name called nichesitemonthly.com. And if I leave this blank, when somebody goes to this nichesitemonthly.com, my WordPress site is going to come up. If I put a folder in here, for instance, I called it members, then they would have to type in nichesitemonthly.com/members to get to my WordPress install. I'm going to use WordPress to run my whole site, including my sales page. So I'm just going to put it right in the root directory. You can do this if you want, or if you want to make a custom sales page to put in your root directory, then you might want to put your private membership site in a different directory here, like private members or whatever you want. Okay, the next thing we need to do is give admin access. So you can put anything in here you want for admin name and password. So let's say admin and password. Don't use password. This is just as an example. You need to use a more secure password because this is the admin sign-in for your site. You can give a nickname here if you want, and that'll just be what name shows up on the post that you make. I'm just going to say admin. Your admin email address, so you could just put whatever in here that you've set up. Now you can set up your email addresses in your cPanel as well. So to do that, all you'd have to do is go back to your cPanel, go to email accounts. Then you could just set one here, up here. So we'll say admin. You give it a password here. Or you can have it generated. Then you can give it a size down here and create the account. Okay, so we now have our account created. And then you can set this up to use your email client if you want, or you can just use webmail from here. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go back to our install here. So we set up our admin at nichesitemonthly.com. Here we give it a site name. And then you can give it a tagline down here. Okay, so you can change this afterwards too. Now it's simple. Install WordPress and finish installation. Okay, now at this point, we can go straight to our admin just by clicking there. And then you should bookmark this page. Okay, now we can sign in for the first time. And there we are. Okay, so that is the easy way to install WordPress. Now, if you don't have cPanel hosting, there is another way to do it. What you would do, let's go to wordpress.org. Okay, then what you have to do is download the WordPress files to your site. You have to unzip them and upload them and create a database, point it to the database, and then run the installer. It's a little more complex, but still not difficult to do. Okay, let me just give you a quick rundown here. So we're going to download this. Okay, and I'll just save it to my desktop. Okay, then what we need to do is unzip it. So there's a free program you can get called 7-Zip. Just do a search for it. We'll do an extract files. And there we go. Now what we need to do is upload them. To do that, you need what's called an FTP client, and you can get one called FileZilla. Just do a search for FileZilla, download it, and install it. When you bring it up for the first time, this is what you'll see. And there are two windows on here. This is your computer, and this is your server side. And what I've done here is I've positioned myself to where I've unzipped WordPress. So here's our WordPress directory inside there. First we're at WordPress 292. Inside there is WordPress, and inside here are all of our files that we need to upload. Next thing you need to do is just type in your host name, your username, and password in here. So this is your domain name. This is the username that you set up on your web hosting provider, or they set up for you, and the password on your web hosting provider as well. Then just do a quick connect, and then you can upload all your files. You can also use the Site Manager to install your domain, and then it's there every time you want. If you get a file in Site Manager, all your domains are in here, and whenever you want to connect to it, you just select it there and click connect. Okay, so I've connected up here. Now we've already got WordPress installed in the main directory, so just so I don't interfere with that, I'm going to create a new directory, and I'm going to call it something else. Members area, just for this demo. And then inside members area, we'll double click on that. Now what we'll do is we'll upload all of this into there. So I click on the first one here, and then if I hold down the control key and then click the letter A, it all goes up inside there. Everything got selected, and then we can upload everything, right click and upload. So I'll wait for that to finish. Okay, now that everything is uploaded, we can continue. Now, over here in our members area, let's refresh here. So let's go back up to the root here. Okay, so here's our members area directory. Now to make this install easy, what you want to do is right click on that, click on File Attributes, and make this 777. Currently it's at 755, and we need to set it back to that when we're done. But for the time being, let's set that to 777. Okay, now to get our install started, what we need to do is go and type in this information in our browser bar. So in this case, it'll be nichesitemonthly.com/members-area. Let me just type that in here. Okay, so we can continue with the install here. So we just says create a configuration file. We do that. Tells us we're going to need a database name, username, password, host, and table prefix. So let's click Let's Go. Okay, this is where we put our database information. Now we're going to have to go set a database up. So we'll go to our cPanel, and what you want to do is go down to Databases, MySQL Databases, and then you need to create a database and a username to access that database. Okay, so this is the database that we already have that was done by the auto install. We're going to create one, we'll just call it WP2. It doesn't matter what you create, what you call it. Create the database, go back. Now what we have to do is create a username to access that database. So Here, I'm just going to call it the same thing, but you can call it anything you want. And let's just say password. Don't use password though, just for demo purposes. As you can see, it's very weak. We'll create it. The next thing we need to do is tie the two of them together. So you roll down until you see add user to database, and then through the drop down list you pick the user and the database. In this case it's right the way it is, so we just click add. Comes up with some permissions here. We just click all privileges and make the changes. Okay, at this point we have our database set up. So it is called, this is it here, it's the same as our username. Actually it's right here. This is our database name, and the username is the same. So we can copy that, go back to our install, and here's our database name goes in there, so paste that in there. Username goes in there. Password, we left this password, but you put your password in there. Database host is localhost, that's almost always going to be correct as it is. And table prefix WP underscore. Now if localhost doesn't work for you, you can contact your hosting provider and find out what it is supposed to be. Okay, let's click submit. Okay, and then we run the install. Here we give our blog title, just like we did when we were installing it automatically, and an email address down here. And whether you want your blog to appear in search engines, if you're using your blog as a sales page like I am, you're going to want that checked. If it's going to be behind the scenes in a subfolder like I installed this one, and you're going to have your main page in the root directory, you might want to uncheck that. That way the search engines won't be able to pick up the blog that is acting as your private members area. Now it doesn't really matter if it does, because the content's protected by the membership plugin that we're going to use anyway, so it's up to you. You could just keep that checked, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's install WordPress. At this point it gives us our username and password, so just copy this password, and it's also been emailed to us. So copy and then log in. And then there we go. Okay, so WordPress is now installed the manual way. That wasn't too difficult, but it is easier to get a cPanel hosting account with Fantastico, and it's just a few clicks. Okay, that concludes the video on installing WordPress. In the next video, we'll go through installing the plugins that you need to get your membership site working. Now it's time to start setting things up for a membership site. Now first, let's go down here to where it says Our PayPal. And click on that. Okay, you may get an error like this. This is the first time I've seen it, but if you do get it, what it means is you have to make a cache directory writable. So the way to find it is go to WP Content, Plugins, Our PayPal, and Cache, and then you can make that writable just like I showed you before. Okay, so let's go to our file manager. Okay, again, we want it to be in our web root, public HTML. Skip this. Okay, so then we need to go to WP-content, let's go in there, then into plugins, then into ARE-PayPal, and then cache needs to be writable, it says. So we want to change permissions and make this 777. For some reason that didn't happen correctly. Now let's go back. Let's click on. Okay, there we go. Now we're all set to go. Now the front end here, we have some parameters to fill out. Text to show a visitor if they're not logged in, and text to show if content is not purchased by a visitor. Okay, we protect our content using some tags. So if it determines that they're not logged in, you can have them put some text out here. If it determines that they have to purchase some content, you can put it in the message in here. Here we can use the PayPal sandbox for testing. So I suggest that you do that the first time through. PayPal sandbox is just a duplicate of PayPal, but you can set up both a buyer and a seller side, and then you can test the whole thing. We have our different buttons down here that it creates. So that's our login button. This is our subscription button. This is just our regular pay button. And make sure you put your PayPal email address in here. Okay, once you've done that, just update the options. Now down here, it says page or post to show users purchase posts. We're not selling by post here, so we don't need to fill this out. We're selling pricing by the whole blog. Okay, so let's go back up to the next one here. We have post prices here, but we're not going to use this function because we're selling access to the blog. Okay, PayPal data is where it shows any PayPal transactions that come through from PayPal's instant payment notification. Blog price. Okay, this is where you set up the pricing for the whole blog. Okay, and this is what we're going to use. Okay, so let's set up our blog. And you can just put in whatever you want here. I'll just fill it out. Okay, so I put in here niche site monthly subscription. A number, this is any number you choose. The price you're going to charge. Currency has to be in a PayPal currency, so you have to use a PayPal currency code. Okay, so that's US dollars. And then how long it's going to expire. So we can do 30 days, which I'm going to use. You can also use 1 week. You use 1 month, or however many weeks you want, however many days you want, however many years you want. Okay, once you have that, just click submit. And your blog is now set to take payments this way. So $70 every 30 days. Now let's just talk about content for a minute. The idea behind an automatic blog is to deliver the content that you've already created. So you should have whatever content you want to deliver uploaded to your server somewhere. That way, when it's time for them to be able to download it, you just have to link to it in a page. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create our content in pages. So let's create our first page. Actually, it's going to be created in posts. Okay, so what we do is we go to post and we do add new. Okay, now assuming we already have content, what we do here is either give it the name of the content or give it month 1 content. I'm going to say month 1 dog training site. Okay, and then you can give the details down here. Okay, so just something like that. Now you might want to add a category here. So let's just add a category, let's call it private stuff, doesn't matter. Okay, now let's click add there. Down here, this is our post visibility. So we want to hide this everywhere because this is private content. This will also hide it in the RSS feeds, so if somebody subscribes to our site, they're not going to get it for free. Okay, so let's publish this. Okay, so if we go look at our site now, let's just go to visit site. If we look in the archives, okay, it's not showing in there. So that's what we want. It's not showing along here anywhere. So now we have to give out that link for our members to be able to download the content. Okay, now there's another thing we want to do here. Let's go back and set a couple things here. Ultimate no index. So we want to set some things in here. So we want to set the note. We don't want any of these going into the search engines. So we can check all these. And then we enter the page IDs. We want no index and no follow on. Okay, and then we can check all of these as well. Let's update this. And I didn't get the page number of that first post. So let's go back to posts. Okay, now just put your mouse over trash here. Don't click it though. Now right at the bottom left, you'll see that there is a URL across there. And you'll see in there it says trash ampersand post equals 9. Okay, so that tells you that this is post number 9. Okay, so what we want to do is go back to ultimate no index. And then we're going to put 9 in here. And we want to put 9 in here. Okay, and you'll do that with all of the content pages you're going to create. Just comma the next page, comma the next page. So if you're going to create 2 months of content to start, you would put post 9 and then whatever the next one is you'd put there. You can also add content over time. So maybe in a month time you're going to create the next 2 months content. You would create the posts and then you would put the page numbers in here as well, or the post numbers. Okay, so let's make a post for month 2. So add new. Then we'll do post 2. Or month 2, I should say. And then tell them what it is. Okay, weight loss site. Again, we'd put the content down here. Okay, just like that. So private stuff. And then down here, we want to hide everything. And then publish. Okay, let's go back to edit. And this is number 11. So now we go back to ultimate no index and we put 11 in here. So comma 11. Same with down here. Okay, so those posts are now hidden. Okay, now one more thing about posts. Let's go back here. Let's edit both of these. Now, where it says visibility public, edit that and click password protect. And we're going to password protect each of these posts. Now the reason we're going to do this is because if you have a member that figures out how to get to your post by page numbers, then what you can do is also password protect it. And we're only going to give the password out during these deliveries. So if they happen to figure out how to get to your pages, they're not going to be able to get the content because you're going to password protect it. So I'm just going to make this easy so I can remember. We'll just put month 2 like that. And we'll update. Okay, and then same thing with month 1. Okay, so this is a little extra security for you. Okay, update. Oh, I noticed that we have uncategorized checked here. We only want private stuff checked. Okay, so update. Okay, so that's what we do. We set up all of our content pages. Okay, now the next step is to set up our delivery. Okay, now to do that, we use the autoresponder. Okay, so what's going to happen is when somebody joins our site, we are going to send them to our form page here, or to our opt-in page. They're going to opt in, and we're going to tell them that they have to opt in order to get the content. Okay, so what you want to do is put your email address in up here. So that's admin@nichesitemonthly.com. URL after registration. if we can put in there where we want to send them after they register, which is filling out the autoresponder form. Okay, so if you have a one-time offer, that's where you can put it. Okay, I'm just going to send them back to the home page. Okay, and we don't want them as double opt-ins. The reason is because we want to make sure that as soon as they fill in their email address, they get the first message. Okay, now we'll save the settings here. Okay, now we need to take this form code, copy it, and now we need to create a page. Go to Pages, Add New. Okay, and we can either put a title in here or not, it doesn't matter, but we will. Okay, so we'll say fill out the form, and then just tell them in order to receive your products, you must fill out the form below. Okay, so do something here to make it stand out, whatever you like. Okay, then we want to go to HTML mode, and then we want to paste the code in, and then we want to hide it everywhere, and we don't want it in the search results. Okay, so we'll publish. Now, if we visit the site, you'll notice that it's not showing up over here in Pages. Okay, when we click on Private Stuff, it's nothing showing up in there, so that's all good. Okay, so let's just go back here. Now let's view the page and grab the URL. Just grab it from your browser bar at the top. Here's what it looks like. So they're going to get to this page and they're going to fill out their name and email address. Okay, and that's going to get them into the autoresponder sequence that's going to send them to the pages so that they can get their products. Okay, so let's go back to the autoresponder. Okay, now next we want to go to email messages, and this is where we set up the delivery of the products. Now the first one is our message that we send out as soon as they fill out the form, and we set this to 0 days after registration. Okay, that means it'll send it immediately after they fill the form out. Okay, and then you put your message in here. Okay, let's just paste the URL in here, and then just put the welcome message in the top here. Now let's just add this for a second. There's something that we can do here, and I just forgot how to do it. If we go back here, you'll notice that in email messages, it says that you can use some tags, email and name. Okay, so if you want to use their name tag, you can grab this tag here. Let's go back to messages. Let's edit this one. So put okay, and then put the welcome message in here. Okay, so that'll address them by their name now. And then just put a standard welcome message and tell them this is where they can download the product. Okay, so I put in here, welcome to the site every 30 days, and this has got to be the same period that you set your subscription to. Okay, you'll receive a product BT email, whatever that is, by email. You can download month 1 below. You will be prompted for a password. The password is month 1 without the quotes. This is what we proofread. Okay, copy and paste the link into your browser bar to download your first product. I have a link here, regards, and your name. Now you'll notice that I have a link here. I told you to get that other page, but that isn't actually what we put here. So let's save this for now. And of course, what we need to put in there is the link to our first post. Okay, so if you go here and then go to month 1, go to view, right click, and copy link location. Now let's go back and edit our message. Just paste it in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the initial one that goes out. Next, we put in message 2, which is going to deliver month 2. Okay, I actually had a plus product download link to make sure they open it. Okay, now you notice that it's doing something funny with quotes here, and that's why. Okay, let's just get rid of that. That's why I don't try and use HTML to give a clickable URL, because it acts up in here as well. Okay, so let's just change that as well. Okay, now we do month 2 here. Okay, so let's add that. Now what we didn't do is we have to set the days after to 30. Make sure that 30 days after they get the first product, they get their second product automatically. We also need to get the download link. Let's go to posts. Here's month 2. Copy link location. And then back here. Actually, it's this one. And then put the download link here. Of course, you can put more information in the messages, the product name, etc. Anything else you want to say in there. Okay, we'll save that. Okay, so now we have our first 2 months of messages all set up to go. Everything's automated and going to happen by itself. Now, there's one more thing we need to do. Let's go back to pages for a sec. Let's get fill out the form page and copy the location of the form. Now, we got to change something in Arc PayPal here. We're going to be charging subscriptions, so we need to change the return URL. Okay, so name is return, value equals, we need to get rid of this inside there, and then paste in that URL. Okay, so now what's going to happen is when they're they're going to get taken to the form to fill out right after they've paid successfully. Okay, now that we've set that, we need to go up here and set this text. So text to show if visitor is not logged in. So we put that here. So you must log in to download your products. And here, text to show if content is not purchased by a visitor. I'm going to say that you must make a purchase to access the content or something like that. Okay, and we'll go down, update. Okay, we're nearly done. I'm going to end this video here, and we'll continue with the last steps in the next video.